Hello and welcome to my channel. It's Monica from Crafting with Cooling Lady, and I hope you have absolutely fabulous day. If you're steampunk style fun, or if you'd like to try something completely new, this video is perfect. If you feel inspired, or if you'd like to check how to make these two cards, please watch this video. For my first project, I used the rubber stamp from Crafter's Companion, which is designed by Donna Ratcliff, and it's called Marmaduke. It is a rubber stamp, and it doesn't stick to any acrylic block, so we need to cut it out first and use some kind of adhesive to put it on acrylic block, stamping platform, or rocker block. When you cut it out, make sure you leave a small gap between the image and the background. We just don't want to lose any of these beautiful details on the stamp. When this is nicely cut out, we are going to use a spray adhesive, and to do it I put a scrap white paper on my glass mat just to make sure the adhesive doesn't stick to it. I'm going to use stick and spray adhesive from Crafter's Companion, and I sprayed it from about 20 centimeters. Now my stamp is ready to put on a rocker block, and we're going to stamp it on a watercolor card. I used the card from Spectrum Noir. It is very good quality card, and it's 300 GSM. To put the color on my stamp, I use Aqua markers from Spectrum Noir. These are the new pens. They are called Tricolor Aqua markers, and they come in sets of 3 pens. And in each pen you have 3 different colors. So actually in one set you get 9 different colors. All the colors blend really nicely, and they create new colors as well. For my projects today, I use the pens from Essential Neutrals set, and this set is absolutely amazing for any steampunk projects or autumn related projects. The colors are so beautiful, and they go nicely together and create amazing results. If you've never used aqua markers or watercolor markers on your stamps, I really recommend you try it out, because you can color different details on different areas of your stamp, which is not very easy to do it with an ink pad, because the ink pads are usually a little bit too big to focus on different details of a stamp. And here you can actually use totally different colors on one stamp, which is so unique using aqua markers. And when you use those pens on the stamp, I really recommend you use the side of your nib instead of the tip, because we don't want to damage the pen, first of all, and we want to try to apply as much color as possible. So now I'm going to use my rocker block to stamp the image on a watercolor card, and actually, as you can see, it doesn't look great, but we are going to use our magic, which is called water and a paintbrush. As simple as that. I'm not using any other color, I'm just trying to spread the color from the lines of the stamp. And what's really unique about these watercolor markers, that they are so pigmented, and there is so much color, as you can see, and you can spread the color really well on a watercolor card. If you use aqua markers or watercolor markers, don't use it on any card. It is worth investing in watercolor card, because you will get such an impressive effect. And now I'm going to use my markers again, and I'm going to put the colors on my glass mat and use wet paintbrush just to make sure we can spread even more color on our card to make it more bright and add more contrast, which is absolutely fantastic with these pens. Again, I'm using the same pens. They come from Essential Neutrals set, and you can get 9 different colors in one set. You can add tiny details, or you can go wild and create big, bold images with these pens. When we are done with our main focal point, which in this case is a cat with some steampunk equipment, including a hat, we are going to create background as well with these pens, and you can use a variety of techniques to do it. Here I'm still adding more color on my image. I'm focusing on the hat at the moment, just to give it a little bit of dimension. And now it's time to add some background. So first I'm adding plain water on my card, and I'm going to apply the color by putting the color on my glass mat first and using wet paintbrush and spreading the color. You can use, as I said before, you can use a variety of techniques to create different effects. Here I'm putting white card on top of my card because I don't want him to have any splashes of color on his face. Now I'm spraying water just to move the color a little bit around on the card. You can go directly with a pen on a wet card, or you can put it on a glass mat and add a little bit of water. As you can see, I'm making some splashes with different color combinations here because I want a variety of colors on my background. And here I'm just going with wet paintbrush and a color just to make sure there is a little bit of more variation. If you work on a watercolor card and you want to apply another layer of different color, make sure your card is dry. As you can see, I'm using a heat gun here just to make sure my card is totally dry before I move on to the next step. I'm really sorry for the light conditions here. The weather in the UK is absolutely unpredictable. It was very cloudy when I started recording, and now the sun was out. So I'm really sorry for this. Here I'm applying a little bit more heat on my card because I want to make sure that it's completely dry before I use a fine liner to add details on my image. And this gives so much dimension to your image. This fine liner works absolutely amazing. It doesn't smear with watercolor markers. It's absolutely perfect. If you ever want your image to stand out, you can always add some details using a fine liner. It really is an amazing tip if you want your card to be even better. Here I'm just adding small lines for the fur, and I'm trying to go in the direction that the fur goes. And this is so much fun to do. Here I use the image from the stamp because I wanted to give it even more details. I applied so much water on the cat's face, so some of the lines just disappeared. But it's fine. We can always go over with a fine liner and add all the details back. And these crisp lines will add even more dimension. If you make any mistakes with your watercolor pens, that is not a problem. You can use a wet paintbrush and you can lift the color of the card, and then you can apply the color that you want, which is absolutely amazing when you work on watercolor card. It just gives you more possibilities and more different techniques. You can also use cross-hatching technique if you want to give some shadows and highlights to your image, and that works absolutely perfectly here. I thought it would be great to add a little bit of blue where the glass is on the image, and this worked absolutely perfectly. So as you saw, there was Topper's color, which is yellowish color, on the glasses, and I'm applying blue on top, and it stays blue because the yellow underneath was totally dry. Now I'm adding green to the eyes, and here I made a mistake, so I'm going to use a wet paintbrush just to lift the color of the card. And it worked perfectly. It was absolutely fine. Now we are nearly done with the background. We just have to add a few more details. Here I just wanted to give the glasses a little bit of dimension. So my tip is, if you want to add shadows to your image, add the color on one side and then get a wet paintbrush and spread the color. It really gives you the effect of light, highlights and shadows on the image. It's absolutely perfect. Here I'm using my heat gun just to make sure my card is totally dry before I add more details. Now it's time to give this background a little bit more color, so I'm using a Distress Oxide ink and I'm applying it using a blending tool. Remember, it doesn't really have to be perfect because we're going to add even more details. Here I use the cutting dies from my stash. I have them for about, I think, 5 or 7 years, and I actually haven't used them before. So this project was absolutely perfect to rediscover my stash and use something that I've never done. So as you can see, I die cut all the gears here, and then I'm going to use exactly the same Distress Oxide ink, and I'm putting more color on the gears. What you can do, you can use different colors if you want, but make sure that they are die cut from quite thick cardstock. Here I use 270 GSM card from my stash, and actually can use a variety of colors. Just make sure it goes well with your image and your background. And what's really amazing about this project, that you can actually go mixed media, and you can apply paint, you can apply metallic paint, sparkle pens, whatever you want. Here I've got my metallic paste, and I'm going to put it a little bit on a glass mat because a little bit goes a long way here. And here I'm just using my finger to apply the color, and it gives a little bit of shine. And when you move the card, you can see how the light hits it, and it's absolutely amazing. So I really encourage you to use mixed media in your card making projects. You can use your stash and you can create something absolutely unique. So now it's time to put all the gears here, and I'm using liquid glue, and I put it on the back of all my small elements, and I'm creating a really, I think, cool composition on my card. As you can see, there are 4 different shapes of these die cuts, but adding different color combinations of them gives you an amazing variety. I thought I would like to add a little bit more sparkle, so I'm using the same gold paste, and I'm using my finger to add the color on all the elements. And now it's time for the sentiment. So as you can see, I use these alphabet dies from Tonic Studio, and I use gold mirror card, and I die cut happy birthday. I use washi tape just to make sure my letters were on the line and were perfectly straight. When you use washi tape, just make sure you apply very gentle pressure. Don't press too hard because the washi tape can stick to the card and it will be really hard to remove it. And our card is nearly done. Now we need to add just a little bit more detail and contrast on our card. And I'm using exactly the same Aqua pens I used before. So actually, the little bit of it goes a long way. And here you can just play with different colors. You can go as dark as you want or as light as you want. Now I'm going to put my card on brown background just to create beautiful frame, and then we can put it on our card base. And my card base is 5 by 7 inches. Here I decided to give a few more shadows on the image, and again I'm using a black fine liner. When you work with aqua markers, I really suggest you try the fine liner first on a watercolor card, just to make sure it doesn't smear when you add the color on and use water. This one works perfectly. And now it's time to put our card on the card base, and we are done with our first project. I think it turned out absolutely beautifully here, and I really love this project. I really would like to know what do you think of it. If you like it, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And now it's time for our second card. I'm using the same watercolor card, and I'm using a stamp from Sparkle Ink Craft Kit from Crafter's Companion, and this one is number 22. I absolutely love this butterfly stamp. It's so big, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't use a butterfly on my project. So here we're going to do heat embossing. So first we need anti-static bag on a watercolor card, and I'm using Versamark to apply it on my stamp. It is transparent ink, so it is quite tricky to see it. And again, I put my stamp on a rocker block from Crafter's Companion, and I'm stamping it on a watercolor card. I used this stamp before, so there is a little bit of color here. I'm using gold embossing powder on my butterfly. You can use any gold embossing powder you have, because gold goes really nicely with steampunk style and projects. And this gold embossing powder is my totally favorite. I've got actually a couple of jars here. And now we're going to use our heat gun just to make sure the embossing powder melts on our card. When you work on a watercolor card, which is really thick, it will take longer than usual. And I really recommend you preheat your tool before moving it on the card. And now it's time to apply some colors. Again, I'm using the aqua markers from Tricolor sets from Spectrum Noir. And here I just went with the color on top of the image, and I'm spreading it with the wet paintbrush. And if you make any mistakes, as I did on top of the wings, you can clean your paintbrush, use the wet paintbrush where you made a mistake, and lift the color using a tissue. It works absolutely perfectly on a watercolor card. Here I'm using different red, green and yellow because I thought, why not? It is a butterfly, so we can give it any colors we want. And what's really amazing about this project, that you can create stunning images. So here I'm using wet paintbrush just to spread the colors around my butterfly. And then I decided to use Distress Oxide to create a background around the butterfly. I'm using blending tool to apply the color on the card, and this card absorbs all the color. If you have any harsh lines, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry, we're going to fix it in a second. It is really nice if you leave a gap between the image and the background, and I actually did it with the cat as well. Here I'm using Topaz color from the marker. I put it on a glass mat, and I'm using wet paintbrush to put the color on the background. What's really amazing about distress oxides that they are water reactive. So when we add wet paintbrush, actually the colors mix together really beautifully. And now I'm making sure that the card is totally dry before I move on to the next step. I absolutely love how this background and image turned out. I really hope you like it too. Here, as you can see, are my cutting dies, and we're going to create a beautiful frame. You can use any colors you want with these die cuts. I try to go a little bit lighter this time because the background is really dark. You can use all different shapes of your gears and colors and just go wild with them. The steampunk projects just give you so much freedom using all the metallic elements. So amazing. And now I'm going to use the same gold paste just to add a little bit of shine and sparkle, just a little bit. And it actually works perfectly with steampunk projects. And we are nearly done. Remember that you always have to clean your glass mat straight away. And now I'm putting Happy Birthday using the same alphabet dies from Tonic Studio, and I actually put the letters with liquid glue just to make sure they stay there nicely for a very long time. And again, when this is completely dry, I'm going to put it on dark brown mat to create beautiful frame and my 6x6 card base. And our second project is done. And here you can have a look at the beautiful butterfly steampunk birthday card and our beautiful, amazing cut birthday card in steampunk style. If you look at my blog or Instagram, I actually have one more project in this style. The links are down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you will give this project a go. I would really love to see all your amazing creations. Happy crafting! Bye!